everybody, it's EK from EK Gorman Designs, and I am coming in today with a Craft Collabs hop. It's a Mother's Day card hop, and we're all playing with papers. I chose 4 different pieces of paper and came up with 8 different cards using just 4 pieces of 6x6 paper. I'm using a paper pack called Daydream from Lemoncraft, and these are the 4 papers I've picked. I feel like they're all really different papers, but yet they go well together despite the fact they're all very different. Now, they're all from the same collection, so they've been cultivated to be together. And each of the 8 cards I create will have a piece of paper from each of the 4 pieces of paper. To cut, I did this on all 4 sheets of paper. I made one 4x4 triangle from a square. I trimmed up 2 pieces of 1.5 by 2 inch paper, and then 2 pieces of 1 inch by 3 inch and a 1 inch by 4.25 inch piece. Now, I will tell you, it looks like I'm planning out something here, and I'll go with this. Initially, I thought, okay, I'll put two of each triangles in a corner. It took me a little bit to figure out what to do with the paper, I'm not gonna lie. Paper piecing is not my strong suit. I am only just starting to get a grasp of paper piecing. I love the idea of it. I love the look of it. I am not one who naturally is comfortable with it. I also pulled in 4 pieces of cardstock from my large stash of cardstock. It's a piece of black, a piece of gray, which is kind of a brown gray, a piece of rose colored, and a beige piece. And then I've got 8 A2 card frames. Now, I will tell you, this hop includes, I think, 15 stops along the way. And each of the stops, if you comment along each of the way of each of the stops, you're going to make yourself eligible for a prize from Not Too Shabby. They're giving away 6. They're giving away 6, or they're giving away, I think, 6 sets of 6x6 paper for random commenters along the way. So, you know, free stuff. Yay! I slowed down the video as I put together the first card frame. This is the pattern I used for all of them. They all look a little bit different based on either whether they all look different based on the fact they have different underpinnings, and each of the 4 patterns are laid out in different ways. So it's kind of fun to see how one paper piecing pattern, say that 10 times fast, looks completely different based on how you underpin it or how you use the printed paper on it. I will tell you, I speed up really fast here, so enjoy the craziness of looking like I can do this at record speed. It's really fun. And I want to thank my 12-year-old who painted my fingernails this week. She told me it was a pale orange. That is not a pale orange. That is a neon orange. We apparently have very different definitions of the color orange. But she painted them, and I thought it was really sweet, and she was really proud of the job she did, so I went ahead and videoed with myself with neon orange fingernails. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if it's obnoxious or fun. I'm kind of torn both ways. It really only took me about 30 minutes to, once I got all the papers properly trimmed, it only took me about 30 minutes to assemble everything. I think a lot of that was due to the fact I was using a tape runner. 2 of these squares got away from me and just got a little thick, so I trimmed them up extra special with my paper cutter just because they were a little heavy. In a second here, I'm using the rose colored piece of paper now, and when I finish this card, I line all 4 of the different back underpinnings up next to each other, and you can see how different each effect looked, and I think that's kind of cool. That you can take a different color piece of cardstock back your printed paper and you get a really dramatic different look. This is the last of the assembly of the paper piecing. And it's funny, I didn't pull any ink, any markers, any coloring medium out whatsoever. I did pull out some ink, but I didn't like to stress with it. I inked and totally just did a basic stamping. But here you go. Here are the basics for each of the 8 cards, all using the same pattern and method to create it. The Lemoncraft also makes some ephemera sheets for the Daydream pattern, and I fussy cut out 8 different images to go on each of the cards so they would all look different. And I will tell you, I will be using these 8 cards for Mother's Day this year. I love the sentiment I put on in the end because just in case I don't use all 8, I think I'm going to. I think I've got enough people I need to send to that it should be. Anyway, I like the sentiment I use because just in case I've got one left over, I can use it for any occasion, but these are intended for Mother's Day this year. And I thought it was just like, I like the Dreamcatcher vibe. It feels very feminine without, I don't know, I think it's got a nice spin on mother without being overtly traditional Mother's Day. And I love this Dreamcatcher. I thought it looked really cool. It was a fun, I think the ephemera really did make each card feel special in its own right and look very different despite the fact that the underpinnings are almost exactly the same. I do think the black popped more than any of the other underpinnings, but it was fun nonetheless. Now the card still felt a little boring, so I pulled out a sentiment, and it says, on your special day. It's from Your Next Stamps, What Not Words. It's a whole collection of really fun phrases. And in the space below, I'll actually pin to all the supplies I used today, so if you want to pick up any of these things you're seeing. The Lemoncraft is actually an international paper company, so it's not, it's European. I want to say English, but I'm probably wrong, because every time I think I know what I'm saying, I'm wrong. But Lemoncraft's a unique paper company that isn't traditionally found in the States. This card, I had to move my stamp, but I like how it came out. To finish the cards, I pulled out 8 different bottles of Nuvo Drops. I've got some crystal, I've got some glitter, and I've got some vintage, which are very matte. And I added at least 3 drops to each of the cards, again, to give them each their special, unique look. And here you go. This is the first of the cards, with the rose underpinning and the 2 butterflies. On the second rose card, I use a dark walnut. It looks almost black, but it is a really deep, dark brown. And I love those little butterflies flying all over the card. For the gray card, I used the Wedgwood blue, and I think it matched really nicely with the teal sentiment. And I like how the feathers are floating, and the top square is a feather as well. I thought it worked out really nicely. For the Dreamcatcher in beige, no, that's gray, I simply used the Ivory Nuvo Drops. This is the beige. For the beige with the rose, I pulled out some Dusty Rose Vintage Drops, and I love how matte these dry. It's a very different effect than the glossy ones. The second beige, I pulled out the Caramel Cream, and it almost matches the beige paper perfectly, which is ironic because it wasn't intended that way. And that piece of ephemera, I think, is just gorgeous. For the first of the black cardstocks, I pulled out the Ebony Black because let's really, really pop that black color. And I tried a little bit different arrangements for the Nuvo Drops on this one. This is my favorite card of all of them, and you'll have to let me know which of the 8 cards is your favorite, which piece of ephemera makes your favorite card. I do love the black with the 2 feathers dropping as well, and on that one I used the other vintage drop, which is a chocolate chip color. Thanks for tuning in today, and like I said, make sure you let me know in the comments below which of these 8 cards is your favorite, and make sure you continue commenting along the hop for your chance to win the not too shabby 6x6 paper pads. Until then, happy crafting!